Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Health Made Easy. I'm your host, Dr. Jason Jones, your practical voice in a world of confusing health information. And today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to discuss the negative health consequences of a high carbohydrate diet. Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably realize that having a high carbohydrate diet, which is relative depending on the person, some people can handle more than others. A high carbohydrate diet is not a good idea for most people. So we're going to talk about it. And we're going to discuss the ups and the downs. What are the main health issues that are going to come about as a result of a high carbohydrate diet? Now, it's no doubt that carbohydrates are good for our health and our well-being. According to the guidelines of the FDA, which I don't know about you, I tend not to follow them, quite frankly, because they recommend things like your carbohydrates should be 45 to 65% of your total calories. These are the people that came up with, the food pyramid, or at least they didn't originally come up with it, but they utilize it. And also, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea that the food and drug should be under the same actual administration, but that's a whole nother thing. But they say, hey, 45 to 65% of your total daily calories should be from carbohydrates. Well, yeah, if you want to be an extremely unhealthy person, you can do that. But it becomes a problem when you actually consume too many in a short amount of time. So if you're overdosing on pasta, bread, rice, chips, crackers, cookies, other high carbohydrate, sugary foods, you're at risk of some serious health consequences, which we are going to discuss today. The number one thing everybody thinks about is weight gain. Now, weight gain is going to have an impact on just about every single health metric that you can imagine and health problem that you can imagine. And the negative consequences of a high carbohydrate diet affecting our ability to actually gain and put on weight and keep it on, we've known for a long time. So when you consume foods that contain too many carbs, it just gets to the point where your body stops utilizing those carbs, and then there's a carb surplus, and then your body converts that into fat. With that being said, it's good to eat things like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables because you get minerals, vitamins, all of that from it. And those foods, when done properly, can prevent can actually promote weight loss. But when you start including a lot of refined carbohydrates into your diet, then you stand the risk of weight gain. Now, here's another one. The next one is unhealthy fat. Another health consequence of high carbohydrate diets are unhealthy fats that get loaded into your bloodstream. So eating too many carbohydrates boosts the number of triglycerides in your blood, and this can progress to complicated conditions such as heart disease. So unhealthy fats in most refined carbohydrates increase the risk of having, all kinds of problems, swollen arteries, blood clots, and a variety of different health conditions. So when unhealthy fats are high in the blood, they overthrow sort of the amount of what's called a lipoprotein, or let's call it maybe good cholesterol, and this can result in a variety of different vascular conditions. The next one is type 2 diabetes. Consuming a high carbohydrate diet can put you at risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and some going to be more than others. High carbs amount, puts your blood sugar levels into overdrive. This gets to the point where insulin production stops, or maybe it becomes less efficient. And insulin obviously is the hormone that helps your body convert glucose into storage system in the body. And what we want it to do is we want it to store it in the liver, store it in the muscles, store it into the cells. But we don't want to have so much that we actually start converting it into fat. So when you get dysregulated here long enough, it sets you up for pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, long-term other particular health issues as well. Now, brain fog is the next one. So excessive carbohydrate can certainly dampen cognitive function. Most diabetic patients that will have, an experience where their blood sugar drops, and then they have what's called, normally called as brain fog. So you can watch out for things like sudden nervousness, agitation, unexplainable confusion, but this could also be chronic, as well. Another one is where you start to develop gas. So high carbohydrate diets, a lot of times your body starts to store more water. You start to feel bloated. Carbohydrates like carbonated beverages and sugary processed foods usually generate abdominal gas, and they can cause a lot of discomfort. But also, when you consume high carbohydrate foods, they ferment in the gut. They dysregulate your gut bacteria, and then you end up being much more gassy. Next one, thickening of the arteries. So most foods high in carbs also contain high amounts of fats, or at least the fats that they do contain are like bad fats. And taking in excess amounts of these foods can cause your artery walls to start to thicken up, which is what we call atherosclerosis. It's always hard for me to say that word, which hinders free blood flow and increases your risk of having things like a heart attack or a stroke. Now that you know the negative consequences of a high carbohydrate diet, let's quickly show you how you can limit carb intake. All right, avoid or reduce sugar and soda drinks. Reduce your carbohydrate consumption through reducing white bread, cooked pasta, chocolate bars, potatoes, beer, those kinds of things. Eat more healthy, satisfying foods like blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, spinach, lemons, watermelon, avocados, tomatoes, lettuce, cucumber, and any number of other fruits and vegetables for sure. But also good meats as well. And just understand that you are only as good and you'll only ever be as good as your last meal. But if the more you have of the wrong variety, the more it sets you up for chronic health problems. So you don't have to eliminate everything, but you just have to know that you are an individual and you need to understand and watch how your body is actually negatively reacting to those particular foods. So if you're putting on weight, you can't remember where your keys are. Your A1C is high. You have a family history of cardiovascular disease, or you're starting to develop cardiovascular issues, then you need to rein it in if you want your health to be better. So I hope this helped you. This is Dr. Jason Jones signing out. We'll see you guys on the next podcast. See you later. Bye-bye.